This is a lecture from OpenTuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
Management representations. Management representations, in the form usually of a letter of representation, is sent by the management of the company and those charged with governance to the auditors. It must be received before the audit report is approved and as close as possible to when the audit report is approved by the auditors. It's regarded as an essential piece of evidence. Although it's essential, and if you don't get it, there are very serious consequences, but actually it's a rather poor source of evidence, and it never substitutes for other types of evidence which are normally available. If it is not received, then the auditors will be worried about the integrity of management. Why would they not send this letter of representation, essentially stating that the financial statements have been properly prepared, that we've recognized all liabilities and the like. That's why it's important to kind of get it. And if management is not prepared to make those representations, then we get worried. The key elements in a letter of representation are as follows: that management has properly prepared the financial statements, fulfilled its responsibilities, and has provided complete information to the auditors. It will also state that all transactions have been recorded, and we're particularly interested maybe in liabilities which have been omitted. We might be particularly interested in making sure we've picked up all related party transactions, which can be quite difficult really to make sure we have discovered all of those. And it can be used to support other evidence. And quite often it's actually required by other ISAs. Other ISAs will say that something about this element of the financial statements has to be supported by the directors, those charged with governance, in a letter of representation. Note that it cannot substitute for other audit evidence, but it's going to be particularly important as a source of evidence in matters where the knowledge of these matters is really confined to the minds of the directors, or where we are particularly at the mercy, perhaps, of the judgment and the opinions of the directors. So think about what might be confined to the mind of the managers. It could be a decision to close down part of the operations. Now, you would expect perhaps that to be talked about in the board minutes. You'd expect to have maybe seen something about that, but it may be kind of quite early days. They mightn't have put it in the board minutes yet. So how do we know that there is no intention to close down part of the operations within the next couple of months? And if there is that intention to close down part of the operations, then of course there are all sorts of ramifications in the valuation of the plant and machinery and so on, the non-current assets at that branch. There are specific provisions in the accounting standards for how you display and present assets held for sale and discontinuance of operations and so on. And it may be, if you like, so far just a secret plan of the managers, and there's no other evidence. Otherwise, the purpose of the management representations is the corroboration of other evidence, that it supports other evidence. We think we've found all the liabilities, and here management is saying we've found all the liabilities. We think that we have gone to the inventory and become confident that it's valued at the lower of cost and net realizable value, and that here management is prepared to say that they also believe that inventory has been valued at the lower of cost and net realizable value. So it's adding kind of confidence, if you like, to what we already know. It can also be used as a test against consistency of other evidence. So if the directors were to say in a letter of representation, we think that all liabilities have been found and have been recorded, and perhaps just before we get to the signing of the audit report, we find another liability, then of course we have an inconsistency. Directors have said this, but I've now discovered that, and we begin to worry about the integrity of the directors, and maybe we begin to reevaluate some of our audit conclusions. And also that reasonable assumptions have been made. Reasonable assumptions perhaps about the evaluation of construction contracts, reasonable assumptions about the recoverability of debts and the like, where it's very hard to be absolutely kind of cut and dried that something is absolutely right. But again, getting written representations from the directors kind of focuses our mind somewhat as well, that, we're responsible for financial statements, we are supporting these assumptions, and here we're actually writing it down and putting a name to it, which can make them think just a little bit. Typical contents of a letter of representation be as follows. This is in addition to, that everything's been recorded and that we've prepared the financial statements, we've provided the auditors with all information they need. No material irregularities. Essentially that means that there's no material frauds have occurred. That we have disclosed all related party transactions. And we'll see shortly in the next chapter that related party transactions can be particularly difficult to pick up, to identify that another company, for example, is a related party. We've disclosed all liabilities. And so something like maybe an impending law suit, it could have gone, unnoticed by the auditors and so on. It probably shouldn't do, but again, it's good to know that all of these liabilities have been included and that liabilities are complete. No subsequent events. No subsequent events. We are on what's called active duty, so to speak, as auditors, until we sign the audit report. So a subsequent event is between the balance sheet date and when the audit report is signed. Things can happen in there which can make us want to maybe alter some of the figures in the financial statements. A receivable turns out to be bad or something of that sort. No plan to shut down any part of the operations, something which is maybe difficult to discover in any other way. Inventory valued lower of cost net relative value. All charges, all mortgages we mean there. Bank charges on assets have been disclosed. And again, you can't tell just by looking at an asset whether or not there's a mortgage on it. No going concern problems. We don't need this last one. We've covered this one here. But the directors ought to be willing to, write down and sign that we have looked at the going concern issues for the next 12 months, usually foreseeable future, and we're confident there isn't going to be any kind of a problem. The auditors must, of course, audit that. They must look at their cash flow forecasts and so on. But this is corroboration. This is giving support to what the auditors already know. Remember, if auditors do not receive a letter of representation, they will not be prepared to give a clean audit opinion. If the letter of representation is missing, then that is a serious gap in the audit evidence, and they will not have obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence to be able to say with reasonable confidence that the financial statements are free of material misstatement.